Hello students. In today's lecture, we will start with Unit 7, Lecture 1 of Human Communities and the Environment. The human communities and the environment we will cover with the help of following points. In that, the first topic which we will cover that will be human population growth. Under that, we will discuss the impact on environment of human population growth and impact of human population growth on health and welfare. The second topic which we will cover that is resettlement and rehabilitation of project affected persons. This topic we will cover with the case studies. Third topic is disaster management. The disaster management we will cover by the particular kind of disasters like floods, earthquake, cyclones, and landslides. Next to that, we will study the environmental movements. In the environmental movements, we will discuss Chipko movement, Silent Valley, Vishnois of Rajasthan. Next topic which we will cover that will be environmental ethics. In the environmental ethics, we will discuss the role of Indian and other religions and cultures in environmental conservation. Environmental communication and public awareness. We will study this topic with the help of case studies. In that, we will take the important example that is CNG vehicles in Delhi. Now here, with the help of following map, you can see the population density in a particular area. So, here you can see the various shades like the light yellow, dark yellow, brown, and the darkest brown, which are the representation of the population density in a particular area, which has been shown in this map. Now, human population and the environment. Now, before moving ahead to human population and the environment, there is a need to study what is population. Population is defined as a group of individuals of the same species living in the same area in a given time. So, the actual population is the birth per year and the death per year. So, for the birth per year, it is average fertility, fraction of population giving birth each year, average mortality, fraction of population dying each year. So, with the ratio of the birth per year and the death per year, we can calculate the exact population. Now, what is population density? Population density is expressed as a number of individuals of the population per unit area or per unit volume. Now, here are the various factors which are related with the population or which are the population drivers. In that, here you can see the food production, then conflict and terrorism, then water resources, energy security and supply, health, biodiversity, and climate change. Now, parameters affecting population size, birth rate or natality. Birth rate or natality is the number of births per thousand people in a population in a given area. Birth rate, it is the number of deaths per thousand people in a population in a given year. The third is immigration. Immigration, it denotes the arrival of individual from neighboring population, means the population which are scattered in the surrounding area, they are gathering from the neighboring area to a particular place. Means the accumulation of the population in a particular area can be defined as the immigration. That is IMMIGRATION. And the immigration it denotes the dispersal of individuals from the original population to new areas. Means if the population it is gathered in a one area or a particular area, they start dispersing or they start moving to the neighboring area. That is immigration. So the immigration and immigration, they are the vice versa terms for each other. One is related with the gathering of the people or the population, and other is related with the dispersal of the population to neighboring area. Now, what is migration? Movement of individuals into or out of place, country within the country. Now, population growth. The rapid growth of global population for the past 100 years results from the difference between the rate of birth and death. In 1800, the global population was about 1 billion people. It took 130 years, 1930, to reach 2 billion. But the population reached to 4 billion within 45 years, that is 1975. Now we have already crossed 7 billion and may have to reach about 10 billion by 2050 as per the World Bank calculations. Now, trends of global population. Now over here, with the help of following pie chart, we can see the trend of global population. Now, here you can see 17.69 percentage is in Germany, Italy, UK, France, Vietnam, and Philippines. 27.72% in China. 15.53% in India. 6.05% in USSR. 5.04% in USA. 27.97% in others, that is Indonesia, Bangladesh, Pakistan, and Mexico. Now, causes of rapid population growth. Rapid population growth is due to the decrease in death rate and increase in birth rate. Availability of antibiotics, immunization, increased food production, clean water, air, etc. decreases the famine related deaths and infant mortality. In agricultural based countries, the children are required to help their parents in the field. Decrease in death rate, maternal mortality rate, that is MMR, and infant mortality rate, that is IMR, as well as increase in longevity, which are two primary factors for the increase in human population. The increase in birth rate has not led to the increase in population. Now here, with the help of following graph, you can see global population growth trends. So, along the x-axis, the centuries are given, and along the y-axis, the global population in billions has been given. So, if you see along the 1600 to 1800 centuries, the population was almost stationary. That was 1 billion. So the hype in the population was not that much comparatively. It started growing slowly. But as you can see, from 1800 to 1950 or near about 1950, the population was 2 billion. And there is slight hype in the population, or you can observe the slight high in the curve. But as we move from 1900 to 1950, or in between 1950 to 2000, there's a exceptional high in the population growth curve, and the population was just double, that was the 4 billion. And as we move from 2000 to 2050, the population was 8 billions. So here is the trend of population growth. Now, the characteristics of population growth. Exponential growth. Now, population growth occurs exponentially like 10, 10 to the power 2, 10 to the power 3, 10 to the power 4, etc., which shows the dramatic increase in global population in the past 100 years. Doubling time. Doubling time is the time required for a population to double its size at a constant annual rate. It is calculated as follows. TD, that is doubling time, is equals to 70 by R, where R is equals to annual growth rate. If a nation has 2% annual growth rate, its population its, its population will double in next 35 years. Now, reasons for growth. Spread of public health program in developing countries. Rise in food production after World War II. Every second, 4 to 5 children are born and 2 people die. Nearly 2.5 persons gets added every second. Now here there are 10 largest countries population wise, like India, China, United States, Indonesia, Nigeria, Pakistan, Brazil, Bangladesh, Ethiopia, and Congo. Total fertility rates. It is one of the key measures of a nation's population growth. If the fertility rate will be high, then obviously the population growth will be more. TFR is defined as the average number of children that would be born to a woman in her lifetime. If the age specific birth rates remain constant, the value of TFR varies from 1.9 in developed nations to 4.7 in developing nations. Infant mortality rate. It is an important parameter affecting future growth of a population. It is the percentage of infants died out of those born in a year. Although this rate has declined in last 50 years. But the pattern differs widely in developed and developing countries. Now, what is mortality? Death rates per thousand individuals. Reduction in mortality rate because of industrial revolution, improved personal hygiene, and modern medicines, etc. Male female ratio. The ratio of girls and boys should be fairly balanced in a society to flourish. But the ratio has been absent in many countries like China and India. In China, the ratio of girls and boys is 100 to 140, means the number of the girls is very less as compared to the number of the boys. Now, the male female ratio you can see here with the help of this bar graph, like child sex ratio in between 0 to 6 year in between 1981 and 2011. So, with the help of this bar graph, you can have the idea that what is the situation of the girl child in China and India. Now, what is demographic transition? Population growth is generally related to be economic development. The death rates and birth rates fall due to improved living conditions. This result in the population growth. This phenomena is referred as demographic transition. Now, the problems of population growth. Increased demands for food and natural resources. Second, inadequate housing and health services. The third problem is loss of agricultural land. The fourth problem is due to the population growth is unemployment and socio-political unrest. And the fifth point is environmental pollution. And the environmental pollution is the biggest problem amongst all the problems due to the population growth. So here are the following problems which are already occurring, and in future they can create a huge problem due to population growth. Age and sex structure. Proportion of individuals of different ages within that population is age structure. Proportion of active males and females in a population influence population growth. But now here is maximum carrying capacity. Now with the help of this diagram, you can see the maximum population size that can be supported by environment. Because It's not like that the environment is something like that, whatever the quantity of the population or whatever the size of the population, it is okay. No, this is not true. As per the capacity of the environment, or there is some particular capacity of the environment up to which the environment can handle the population. So there is the maximum population size that can be supported by the environment. And if that size is beyond limited, then it creates the environmental imbalance. Carrying capacity increased by clever use of science and technology. Limit to max population size in given space and resource base. Population has been able to maintain exponential growth during past years. Now here you can see the diagram that various factors are given like medicine, sanitation, nutrition, increased productivity, transportation, energy, water, infrastructure, and industrial revolution. Now, these are the factors which are somehow related directly with the population. Variation of population among nations. At present, the world's population has crossed 6 billions. The existing population is also not evenly distributed. Less developed countries have 80% population, while the developed countries have only 20%. LDC, Africa, Asia, South America have 80% of the total population and occupy less than 20% of the total land area. In the MDC, like USA, Canada, Australia, and the population size in this area is increased at the rate of less than 1% per year. But in the LDCs, it is greater than 1% per year. So, over here, with the help of this diagram, you can see the population increase in percentage in developed countries and in the developing countries. Kenya is the fastest population growing country where 20 billion people are residing. China and India's population was above 1,000 million in 2000 years. Its share is about one third of world's population. Europe and North America accounts for 14% of the world. Variation of population based on age structure. Pre-productive population 0 to 40 years. Reproductive population 15 to 44 years. Post-reproductive population above 45 years. The enormous increase in population due to low death rate and high birth rate is termed as population explosion. The human population is not increasing at a uniform rate in all parts of the world. Population explosion. Population explosion and enormous growth of human being is called as population explosion. Now, why this population explosion takes place? There are various causes or there are various factors which are behind this population explosion. Under that, the first is fertility. If the fertility rate is high or if the fertility factor is high, then obviously the population explosion takes place. Reduce infant mortality rate. If there is a continuous reduce in the infant mortality rate, means the number of the childbirth will be more successful and directly it causes the population explosion. Increase in food production. If the food production is increasing continuously, then there will be no problem of the starvation. And as a result, no one will die from the starvation. And again, it causes the population explosion. And the last is the longevity. Now, here the data is given for the doubling time of the population in the less developed country and the developed country. Now, the first country is India. The doubling time is 28 years. For Turkey, it is 28 years. For Nigeria, it is 27 years. For Saudi Arabia, it is 25 years. For Pakistan, it is 21 years. For USA, it is 87 years. For UK, it is 231 years. For Italy, it is 99 years. For France, it is 117 years. And for Japan, it is 58 years. Effect of population explosion. Now, if the population explosion will take place, then it has some negative impacts. Like the first is the poverty. Infant mortality is one of the most tragic indicator of poverty. There are still 34 developing countries where more than 1 in 10 children die before she reaches or he reaches the age of 5. Population explosion leads to environmental degradation. As the population is exploded, then obviously they harm the environment. They destroy the environment and which leads to environmental degradation. Population explosion causes over exploitation of natural resources. It is but obvious that if the population is exploded, then there is a need of the consumption of more and more natural resources. So, shortage of resources for future of generation can take place. Increase in population increase the diseases. As there is a continuous increase in the population, there is a continuous explosion of the population, then obviously they create the pollution, they create noise pollution, they create water pollution, they create land pollution, and as a result of that, there's an increase in the disease due to common people. Overcrowding of cities led to development of the slums, unemployment, lack of basic amenities like water supply and sanitation. Now here, with the help of this diagram, you can see that the adverse effect of increasing population can take place and can impact various factors. Like increasing population can cause the development of poverty. Then increase in population can also cause unemployment and crimes. Increase in population can also create illiteracy and ignorance. Backwardness and price rise can also a factor which can be impacted to a great extent due to increasing population. Then population explosion and hunger and diseases. As the population is growing continuously, it creates a hunger. It needs more and more food, and it also cause many diseases. So these are the surrounding factors which are created by only one problem, that is increasing population. Now, if there's an increase in the population or there's a continuous growth of the population or there's a population explosion, then it has a various impact on the environment and it can create a huge problem for the environment. The first is pollution. As the population is growing continuously, then the demand of the cars is increased. Emission of the greenhouse gases in the atmosphere is also increases. Then deforestation. As the population is growing continuously or the population growth is taking place continuously, there is a need to build houses for increasing population, fresh water availability. As the population growth takes place continuously, then there is a need of more and more water. But if the population explosion takes place, then obviously they cause various kind of the pollution. And in that, the water pollution is the foremost, and due to which the availability of the fresh water will be very less. And the increase in the population can cause contamination of water to greater extent. Then natural resources. Increase burning of fossil fuels. If the population growth takes place continuously, then there is a need of the fuel for daily life. But if the population is growing continuously and if the sufficient fuel is not available, then they use the natural resources in a very huge manner, and due to which there can be the depletion of natural resource takes place. Global warming. Overall increase in the temperature, and chances of natural disasters can cause global warming. Habitat loss, a change in the ecosystem affecting tropical labor, affecting tropical labor. Now, reasons. Now, what are the reasons behind the population growth or behind the population explosion? The foremost and the important reason is higher fertility rate due to failure of family planning or due to illiteracy, due to improper knowledge of family planning, or due to improper knowledge of the negative impact of population growth can be the reason for the population explosion. Predominating religious or superstitious nature. Importance of male child in society. Then social insecurity, poverty, and backwardness. Family welfare program. It was implemented by the government of India as a voluntary program, and the objective of family welfare program was slowing down the population explosion by reducing the rate of fertility. Because if we reduce the rate of fertility, then directly or indirectly we can slow down the population explosion. The second objective of the family welfare program was the pressure on the environment due to overexploitation of natural resources. So, if the population is growing continuously, then there will be the overexploitation of natural resources. Because we know that even though they are natural resources, they are not present in a very huge quantity in the nature. And if we use them continuously, then the replenishment of these natural resources is not that easy. So there's a need to conserve them, there is a need to save them, and there's a need to use them in a justified manner. So, the objective of the family welfare program is to reduce the pressure on the environment due to over exploitation of natural resources. Third objective of family welfare program was it provides educational and clinical services that help couples to choose how many children to have and when to have them. So, the objective of this welfare program is mainly to control the population. And by providing the educational and clinical services, it helps the couples to choose how many children to have, like one or two, and when to have them, like at the duration of or at the difference of 4 years, like it proves information on birth spacing, birth control, and health care for pregnant women and infants. So, by the objective of family welfare program, there's a clear information given to common public regarding the birth spacing, how to control the birth, and the proper health care is to be provided to the pregnant women and the infants. The last objective of the family welfare program is to reduce the number of illegal abortions per year and decrease the risk of death from pregnancy because the people are not aware in the rural area regarding the birth control, so they are continuously opting the options of the abortion, due to which it can create a huge problem in the women's, and sometimes it can cause the death from pregnancy. Now you can, with the help of this picture, you can see the population in the rural area and the population in the urban area. Environment and human health. Human health and environment are two inseparable entities. Generally, a physically fit person that is not suffering from any disease is called a healthy person. Factor influencing human health. There are various factors which are influencing the human health, under which the first factor is the nutritional factor. If the person is getting proper nutrition, if the person is getting the balanced diet or the proper diet, it, it is possible to maintain a good human health. The biological factors. The third is the chemical factor, and the fourth is the psychological factor. The environmental degradation is caused by dramatic increase in the world population. Millions of people die every year due to illness caused by environmental pollution. So if the population is increasing day by day, and if it takes place the form of population explosion, then somehow they are the great participant for environmental degradation. And due to which they create a huge pollution in the environment, like the water pollution, the air pollution, the land pollution, and the deforestation. So, due to these pollution, the due to this pollution, it can cause the illness of the common public. Now, important hazards and their health effects. Physical hazards and their health effects. Physical hazards, health effect. The first is the radioactive radiations. Radioactive radiations can cause the great impact on the body cells, organs, glands, and causes cancer. UV radiations is again a type of physical hazard which can cause skin cancer. Global warming. Temperature increase causing famine, mortality. Noise. Painful and irreparable damage to human ears. Chemical hazards and their health effects. Chemical hazard health effect. Sulfur, oxygen, oxides of sulfur and nitrogen, carbon dioxide and SPM can cause asthma, bronchitis and other lung diseases. Industrial effluents kill cells and cause cancer and death. DDT and fluorinated pesticides can cause affect the food chain. Heavy metals like Hg, Cd, Pb, fluoride and nitrate contaminates water causing various diseases. CFC damages ozone layer, skin cancer. Biological hazards and their health effect. Biological hazards can cause various diseases due to bacteria, virus, parasites, and they create the disease like diarrhea, malaria, parasitic worms, anemia, respiratory disease, etc. Preventive measures. Always wash your hands before sitting for food. Cut short and clean your nails systematically. Making drinking water free from pollution. Drinking chemically treated and filtered water. Maintaining the skin, teeth, hair of our body. Eat food always while it is in the hot condition. Before cooking, wash the raw vegetables and fruits with clean water. Do physical exercise to have proper blood circulation in the body. Thank you. That's all for the today's lecture. And in the next lecture, you will start with the resettlement and rehabilitation. Thank you.